The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank all the colleagues for allowing us to do this. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'd like to make an introduction.
Permission granted.
In the East Gallery today, we are joined here by Travis Sampson. Travis, if you could rise for a moment, please. Travis is a child and youth care practitioner who works with students in the Halifax Regional Centre for Education. As Travis will tell you, a big part of youth care is about building relationships. He and his colleagues support our students by ensuring they feel connected to their schools. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Travis for taking a few moments out of his day to join us and request that the members of this House give him a very warm welcome. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to reaffirm government's commitment to a safe and inclusive public education system for Nova Scotians. This year, we will invest a total of $30 million to support a model of inclusive education across the province. This investment will place hundreds of non-teaching staff supports into our classrooms and will support program learning and development opportunities for students and teachers. We know these inclusive supports are helping, Mr. Speaker. An example of such supports can be seen in the work of our child and youth care practitioners like Travis Sampson from Halifax, who work closely with staff and students in delivering programs for students who have difficulty coping in school so they can travel with their peers and place them on a path to success. Or Susan Moore in Annapolis, a program planning specialist, who provides supports to students with complex behavioral needs, helping 43 students at 26 schools this school year. We have heard from teachers in the Strait Regional Centre for Education who said that having access to an autism specialist for their students has been an asset in their classrooms. Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge the outstanding work of those in our public education system who go above and beyond every day to support students and their families and help ensure that the life trajectory of those who are entrusted in our care achieves the very best that they can. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for for Dartmouth East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of my colleagues on this side of the House, I would like to welcome Mr. Sampson as well and thank Travis Sampson and the countless others here in our province that go above and beyond in our schools to ensure our students have the supports that they need. While, Mr. Speaker, we do recognize the fundamental importance of affirming our commitment to the inclusion model, and I do want to thank the Minister for stating that. I think that is important, that that our youth in schools that need a different learning environment, that require extra supports, I think it's important they hear that message from this House as well, that we are committed to inclusion, a system, an approach to education that unfortunately, in the 13 years that I spent in the classroom, wasn't always fully supported. Often, Mr. Speaker, it was very much an element of sort of a drop in the bucket in terms of the supports that were given. That being said, Mr. Speaker, I would be remiss if I did not remind this House that while there are a lot of stories of success, there are also stories of where we're hearing that the resources that have been committed and promised are not translating on the ground. I know as an MLA, I hear from parents and teachers in my community that the $15 million committed last fiscal year and the monies committed this year, there are concerns, Mr. Speaker, that they're not translating on the ground, that they're not meeting their intended outcome in the classroom. You know, Mr. Speaker, I think of one of my constituents the other day who reached out to me. Her child is experiencing difficulty in the classroom. Her child is not getting the interventions required to stop the bullying. Let us remember those children. Let us remember intentions are important, and of course, I commend you for those intentions. However, we have to ensure it translates on the ground and it maximizes, those resources maximize and set those students up for the success that they deserve. Make no mistake, for me as an MLA and a former teacher, I am committed to inclusion. I want to thank Travis Sampson and many others who go above and beyond. But we have to also remember, Mr. Speaker, there is a lot of work to do. Members on this side of the House will continue to question and challenge and hold government accountable when it comes to the inclusion model. Let us not forget, let us not have rose-colored glasses, and let us not forget there are many students out there that still require our support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable House Leader for the New Democratic Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to begin by congratulating the government for having taken the very first step in addressing the issue of inclusion in schools. The establishment of the Commission and the release of the Students' First report a year ago were important moments for our province. Teachers, students, and families were pleased to hear the government accept the recommendations of that report and commit to making the investments needed to ensure that our public education system is safe and inclusive and meets the needs of everyone. On behalf of our caucus, I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge the incredible expertise, patience, and commitment of the people working in the public education system. These are exceptional people doing incredible work, often in challenging circumstances. We know that our children and their families are counting on these dedicated individuals. This is a huge responsibility, and we respect and admire them for taking it on. And thank you particularly to our guests in the gallery. We know we're still at the beginning of making our schools the inclusive spaces they need to be, and there is still so much to do. We're looking forward to seeing the inclusive education policy framework, including new behavior, mental health, and autism strategies, come forward. We're looking forward to this framework leading to greater coordination across departments so that children and their families have seamless access to services and supports across the lifespan. And we are looking forward to annual reports on our progress towards those shared goals. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for giving me the opportunity to voice my continued support for the roadmap put forward in Students First, and I look forward to working with our partners in public education to make the improvements needed.